Hi, this is Sri with a review of the Adidas Harden 7. James Harden, he has been a phenomenal player in some years past, but these days he has been finding his place in this world, or at least trying to reestablish himself as a superstar. The first Harden was revolutionary because it was simplistic, but at the same time it was eye-catching, and it seemed to go nicely with personality or playing style of James Harden, and they added a lot of boost in it, but seemingly a lot of boost, but it was pretty thin, very flimsy. So most Harden shoes, their thing has been low to the ground shoes with a wide base to prevent ankle rollover because of all the step backs, I suppose. For the sevens, for a size 9, it weighs about 465 grams, which is not very light considering the kind of shoes that we're getting these days, but compared to other models with lots of boost, lots of heel encasing in the past, this is actually lighter because we've had previous models, boost models, that were about size 9 that used to weigh easily past 500 grams. So yeah, most of the weight is concentrated on this heel encasing. So if you were to remove that, it would be a lot lighter. Harden always seemed to have this heel concentrated weight thing. Like Harden 2, I actually had to scrape off a lot of the excess rubber in the heel because that actually came down to, like, I don't know, quite a bit of the weight that's been contributing to the whole shoe. For a size 9, yeah, I mean, it actually goes true to size, fits true to size. If you are very narrow, if you have very narrow foot and you like to have very extremely toe compressingly tight fit, then you might want to go down half a size. But otherwise, true to size is fine, especially because the fit and the lockdown is amazing for this shoe. Like, as you can see, this is very flat and aerodynamic around the toe box area because a lot of Adidas shoe in the past had this serious problem that I always complain about. They had this really ballooned up space on the toe box area, and the material was flimsy, and there was no way you could lock it down unless you put some extra lace loop holes there. So this, it's very flat, and the material is pretty firm, non-stretchy, patent leather type of material, so it provides a nice lockdown there. And the lace loop also, if you remember the Adidas shoes as of late, the Trae Young series and what, they keep trying to do away with the laces. And even when they had laces, even for the previous Harden models, the lace loops would stop like somewhere here, so you will not get the lockdown that you want all the way. This one actually goes up pretty much all the way closer to your toe area, and it really locks you down nicely. Another factor that contributes to the stability or the security that you get with the lockdown is the heel lockdown is amazing in this shoe. So it has the outer heel encasing, and it has this thick plushy material, and inside there's a heel cup, and inside that is like a thick leathery padded material, and inside that is a neoprene upper. So there's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 layers of heel security that you get. So the heel cup, heel lockdown is amazing for this shoe. Overall lockdown is great. The lace loops, I only needed to lace it up until like this part, but you actually have another lace loop all the way here. So if you want to do that, that'll even enhance the lockdown even more. But personally, I would prefer like a separated, independent, liberated tongue instead of a one-piece upper, because I like to have that freedom to just slide my fit in and then lace it up tight. But this is not too bad because it is pretty stretchy. It's not like the crazy Trae Young 2 where you spend all your energy and you go near the verge of pulling a hamstring or snapping an Achilles while you try to squeeze your foot in or squeeze your foot out of the shoe. This is how it is. It's very stretchy. If you have two hands, you don't have to worry about having to, cut it open like what you felt with the Trae Young 2. It opens all the way like this. So if you've got 2 hands, you can put your foot in nicely, but you can't just squish it in with 1 foot. And also, one thing you might want to note is that there's a lot of stitches here. So if you're very sensitive about some stitchy parts rubbing against your Achilles, then you might want to tape this part up, or wear very, very thick socks, or maybe not buy this shoe in the first place. So make sure you check that when you lace it up and try to determine if this is the right shoe for you. So yeah, this thing is just, it's just padded. to provide warmth. I don't know why, but overall the shoe design, I think they tried to be a little bit different and a little bit more simplistic. There, you don't see a prominent Adidas logo or the Harden logo, yeah, except for this little thing, which you can barely see. The cushioning is another thing that I would like to applaud this shoe. The Harden 7 has the best heel boost cushioning in terms of shock absorption and stepping comfort compared to all the Hardens in the past. I think Harden 6 and 2 had the most amount of plush boost in the heel. 5 was okay, but this is actually as good, if not better, than what I've seen in the past Hardens. So good job. And why do we need this casing? I think we should do away with it. But even with this, it provides very nice, forgiving, I guess, yeah, cushioning. It compresses nicely. And on the heel is just a little puck on the heel. And on the forefoot, it's light strike. And light strike, this is light strike you can actually feel, because the fours, it's very thin. The light strike you feel is 50% light strike, 50% scribble board. And the light strike you felt in, I suppose, the 5 was better, but this is just as good as the light strike you felt in the 5, if not better. And I don't know why, but it feels lower to the ground and plusher. So it's the best of both worlds. The insole they give is like a very flimsy, thin insole that looks like a bad hybrid between Ortholite and EVA. I wish they would just give EVA insoles instead, because it's like a firm Ortholite and a soft EVA, which, yeah, worst of both worlds in that sense. So get a different insole, get a decent, depending on what your cup of tea is, Ortholite or EVA. And even without the insoles, you can actually feel the cushioning it's really good. So minimum insole is all you need. So even with this crappy insole they give you, that you can actually bring out the best of this shoe. Yeah, the traction pattern is interesting. They have the 45-degree herringbone, which is what we liked from the Curry 2s, which was a 4-angle explosion traction herringbone, and this is also what we've had in Jordan Superfly 2, which is really good traction. And yeah, the herringbone is not always the best. We've had herringbone all over the place in Harden 3s, and the traction was arguably the worst, super dust sensitive. But this, added with this sort of like a Kobe fingerprint kind of traction pattern, it's a nice combination. It grips nicely. I think it has one of the best, if not the best, traction among the Hardens in the past. Harden 1 was okay. So best traction, but still, it's not the kind of traction that's dust proof, like what you get from the Kyrie series as of late, or the Adidas Crazy Quick, or Anta GH2, which had this crazy bite, dust proof. So it's not dust proof, but it's not as dust sensitive as many of the shoes out there. Among the Hardens of the past, this has the best traction so far. So that's what you can take with you. One downside to this shoe is you would think this bulging thing works as an outrigger. You would think the space is wide enough, but the base is shockingly not as wide as the Hardens in the past. And somehow, I don't know why, if it's rounded or if it's lagging a pod, the anti-inversion ankle lockdown mechanism, it's not as immediate, and it doesn't have a bit of a stop along the way. So you feel, yeah, a little insecure. Among all the Hardens of the past, this is comparatively the worst in terms of anti-inversion prevention mechanism. This is the weakest one so far. Sort of like the Zion 1. It looks like it has a huge outrigger, but you can feel it tilting and you feel insecure. Not as bad as Zion 1, but still not as great as the great outriggers and the great midsole breakage mechanism that they've had in the Harden's past. So yeah, this is a very promising step forward. Sadly, I can't say the same about the player, but the shoe is evolving nicely.